I can't always be sure what would happen if I personally was dropped into the middle of the movie that I'm watching and tasked with coming out the other side. But one thing is for sure. If it was me and my cat in this situation, I'm a dead man. My cat is an absolute asshole, and he would do something to give away my position. And here he is now. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button, and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
When New York City comes under attack from an alien invasion, a woman and other survivors try to find a way to safety. They soon learn that they must remain absolutely silent, as the mysterious creatures are drawn to the slightest sound. I just want to say that if there is a higher being revealed in this franchise at some point, something that sent these creatures to Earth to wipe out humanity, it really is a stroke of genius on their part. Many humans are typically dumb, loud, and obnoxious, so they are quite literally using our biggest weakness against us. Bravo. So I have a somewhat complicated relationship with the A Quiet Place franchise. There's a lot that I really like about them. They typically have great performances, and they usually feature characters and stories that give everything a bit more depth than your typical sci-fi horror movies. And if that's your bag, then I'm happy to tell you that that trend continues in this movie. On the flip side of that, however, for me personally, there's always been these massive logic gaps in these movies. Issues that I cannot ignore, and things that stop me from liking these films more than I do.
Boo this man!
Like when John Krasinski and Emily Blunt's characters foolishly have a baby in a world where staying silent is your biggest key to survival. I just never bought into these characters being dumb enough to let something like that happen. I mean, use a condom or pull out. Do something that isn't going to lead to things being 10 times harder for you down the road. The silent gimmick is simultaneously these films' greatest asset, but it also sets some of the plot points up for failure when thinking about things logically. And A Quiet Place Day 1 continues that franchise trend as well. So I guess it's safe to say that if you are a big fan of the first two films, you will most likely like this one. And if you're kind of in the middle on the first two films like me, then this movie will most likely leave you feeling the same way.
That makes sense.
In many aspects, A Quiet Place Day 1 is just more of the same. Which I'm not necessarily knocking the film for. I mean, when you have a formula that works, why change it? When I first saw the trailer for Day 1, my interest was piqued initially. Because I said to myself, surviving the apocalypse is one thing, but actually getting to see shit hit the fan is something else altogether. So I'm going into it thinking that we're going to get this Dawn of the Dead 2004-esque opening sequence that is pure chaos, and maybe it will even last for a good chunk of the movie considering it is called Day 1. But unfortunately, I was left feeling a little bit disappointed in that department. We get a little bit of the hitting the fan, but considering the whole moment where initially happens is being told from one character's perspective, what we get is basically one scene of the initial attack.
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
And most of that scene you really can't see much anyway because everything is obscured by dust and fog. So yeah, I was a little bit underwhelmed by that creative decision. Don't get me wrong, the scene in question was still decent, and I always give a film credit for not showing too much of the creatures early on. But it's literally called Day 1, so I guess I was just expecting a little bit more from that concept. There's also this scene where a large group of people are evacuating towards the water as instructed by the military. And mind you, it's established pretty early on that everyone figured out that silence is key. And yet, amongst this large group of people, not one person suggests that they don't walk together and all at the same time. And hey, in regards to the guy who's rolling his luggage through the streets, maybe leave that behind.
Stop it!
Again, the scene makes for a cool visual, and that was the point. But it did come off as one of those logic gaps that was way too big to overlook. That being said, there are moments of genuine tension in this film that find new ways of incorporating sound into the scene. There's this one scene where the buildings are losing power, so naturally the backup generators start to come on. So there's this mad scramble by the characters to turn off the generators because obviously they are making a lot of noise. There's another really effective scene where two characters are walking through this flooded underground tunnel with one of the creatures crawling around on the ceiling above them. And it was a very intense scene from start to finish. It also incorporates lore that we know about the creatures from previous movies, so I appreciated that. Make no mistake about it, Lupita Nyong'o's character is the heart and soul of this film, almost to a fault. Lupita carries with her performance, and that's no surprise. She's great in everything that she does.
I like it a lot.
And I will give them credit for not making her a typical leading character. They give her enough quirks and character traits to make her stand out. My issue is with her motivations. Now I know this is something that audiences will most likely be split on. This is very much an intimate story, a human drama about living your life even under the most unideal circumstances. Think Zombieland Enjoy the Little Things, but a bit more philosophical. Now I understand the point that they were trying to make, and this message will resonate with some people. But as for myself, I once again had to question the actions of the characters in this situation. Is doing things that you won't be able to do later still important once shit has already hit the fan?
Absolutely f***ing not.
It's one thing if you know the end is coming and you want to cross some things off your bucket list. I get that. But wasting time and going towards danger while alien creatures are running around doesn't make a lot of sense logically. It was like that stupid episode in The Walking Dead where Daryl and Beth risked being eaten just so Beth could do some everyday mundane shit just to feel normal. Maintaining normalcy is great, but you have to understand the situation. Unless, of course, you aren't worried about dying, which could be the case, then I guess have at it. I don't know, I appreciated the attempt of what they were trying to say, but it really didn't hit home for me personally. Joseph Quinn, of Stranger Things fame, is the co-lead of this film. His character is kind of introduced randomly about halfway through the film. Another strong performance, and I really liked how his character came off as one of those random occurrences you would have in a video game. He was literally in the right place at the right time, and Lupita's character gives his character exactly what he needs to survive. To me, the MVP of the movie is easily Frodo the cat. Give my man a little kitty-sized Oscar because every time he's on screen, he's stealing the show.
I never forget a pussy. Cat.
Even if I did find him getting through certain situations a little far-fetched. The finale of the film definitely has its issues in my opinion. And once again it goes back to me questioning the motivations and actions of Lupita's character. Is she worried about dying? Is she not? You kind of get mixed signals on that throughout the course of the film. Bottom line, A Quiet Place Day 1 does some things right. It gets ambitious with its messaging, even if it doesn't always stick the landing. I think the material is elevated ever so slightly by the performances at times, and there are moments of genuine tension and fear that will resonate with people. But there are also moments that weren't as effective as they were intended and left me wanting more. For me, it's par for the course when it comes to the A Quiet Place franchise. A mixed bag for me personally, and that's why I'm going to give Day 1 the Cathouse.
Saved by kitty litter.
Y'all be cool. Shut up.